thinking about the future. You know, when they take $1 million and then they go to the Ontario or Pomona and then they buy a house and then they spend all the money on the house and then they're left with a little bit of profit, which is going to be going, they're going to be really, like you said, they buy a car, boom, all the money's gone, but he works right here in LA. So he's going to be spending, have you seen the freeway? The 2 freeways, the 5 freeway? It's like 2 hours. So they're losing so much, and the $1 million is not, they're not getting what they should be getting like $4 million. You know? And then,
I want to use my real estate. Okay, we're almost done. Okay, so I didn't hear any disagreement about what I just said, that we all want more affordability, but nobody wants more housing, all right?
I would say that there will be more housing,
Please, come on.
and I want some more housing, but I think that of a more limited sort than the current queue condition puts forward. That's because we will have more housing as commercial lands convert, as a fact.
Okay.
And so
I heard overwhelming support for the idea that we should encourage adaptive reuse. Any disagreement with that?
Well, 45 feet high, right?
Okay, so now there are questions about the specifics. And I would suggest that for the purpose of this conversation, we should focus on the objectives rather than focusing on the specifics. And those should Exactly. Exactly. So these might not be the right ways to get that, but the question is what I heard people say they want is to find ways to keep these buildings in place.
But if it says 45 feet high, then you can't keep it the way it is.
Well, I'm saying cross that out. And I'm saying this is the only thing I'm asking about.
Well,
Is do you want to encourage adaptive reuse?
Yes.
That's the only thing I'm asking about. Yes.
I think the one thing that I think that you're hearing, but it's hard to elevate it given the restrictions, is people really do want affordable housing in this neighborhood, and that there are, I mean, we're being told that there's no way to get that, but there are a couple of pretty profound big prize lots, right? And there is a history here of successfully fighting off things that were not good for this community.
Sure.
When everyone told us that we couldn't, that it was impossible, it could never be done. And it happened. We were not as successful in fighting off other things. And we've never been able to actually build a true consensus around but people are paying attention to this community in unique ways. And so there could be things that could happen that maybe are not currently on the table. I mean, I'm not trying to interrupt the whole process.
No. I appreciate that.
To come out of the conversation thinking that there wasn't a lot of voices for affordability, there are a lot of voices for affordability.
Well, and let's tease that out for a second, because I think that's important. Because I don't think I heard what I think I heard you say you heard. I think I heard, and let's tease this out. What I think I heard is support for affordability and for preserving the community as it is, and the families who are here now, giving them a chance to stay where they are. That's different from saying I support new affordable housing. And
let's tease that out.
yeah, let's tease that out.
Do people?
So does anyone want to comment on that?
I
Yeah.
think there's affordable housing now.
So David said for affordability.
Yeah.
Okay, one conversation.
I'm in favor of new affordable housing within limits. We don't want I don't want, I'll speak for myself, I don't want the 600 unit project type affordable housing. It doesn't fit our community. It would bring it would destroy the neighborhood. It would overwhelm the neighborhood in as much as a commercial development that makes its rules as they go.
Sure.
But I agree with what Steve said. I think that if done right, there are people within this community that would welcome, favor. I can only speak of the project that came to us across the river, and an application came invited to our community. I know initially there was some hesitation to even put it out. When it came to me and I put it on the knee blast, I had people knocking on my door for an application to get affordable housing across the river. Now, we could not have what's across the river here It's just that,
Scale.
but we can have something within the proper scale to accommodate those very people that presently would opt for an opportunity across the river, which was on a lottery-based system, which most of them could not, or they could not get funding for.
Yes.
So, I think everybody agrees with that. What is appropriate scale?
Well, that's the million-dollar question.
And is there general consensus that the new affordable housing at an appropriate scale would actually be a benefit to the community?
Why affordable housing instead of low income and very low income housing?
I mean those as synonymous. So let's say low income housing, which includes very low.
I don't agree. I don't. I think we should leave it as it is. Why do we have new? It's affordable now. Why do you have new affordable
Well, the
housing?
reason to do it is
It's
because,
just to push us out.
well, the existing stuff is a risk.
Housing,
Exactly, it's at risk.
if you bring in, if there's going to be housing development, and the primary concern is to make it affordable housing, that has a impact on the existing housing stock in terms of, it does put some containment on runaway, runaway pricing.
Well, I think what it does is it provides other
Balance.
resources,
Balance.
but it makes sure the community stays mixed.
Yes.
And unlike the existing affordable housing, which is just
At risk, like you said,
right,
at risk.
because a hipster could move in and be willing to pay 3 times as much, and if there's a vacant unit, the landlord will take 3 times as much. That's not affordable housing anymore. Also,
I don't do that.
Who sets
I don't-
affordability?
the quality of the new stuff is also, the
Yes.
services are great. And so there are lots, and it's protected because it's coveted, it's going to be like that for 60 years. There are lots of reasons to do it. Yeah. Well, this is the question, it keeps posing. What is the appropriate scale? And David, too. Well, so this is like, I know you said that it sums up, it's actually an important question. So what is that appropriate scale?
I mean, ideally, you would be.
Underground?
No, a single residence, ideally, that somebody could buy, but I know that's not. But see,
Don't
two
make fun
stories.
of people
If
now.
you're
That
going
wasn't
to-
very nice.
No.
Okay.
I'm looking at a balance between the commercial, the business, and the residential. If the commercial element is going to be allowed X heights, and we want to restrict set heights to say 2 stories, well, why not have affordable housing, proper affordable housing, acceptable affordable housing within those same very limits? Because reality is, look, I bought my house in this neighborhood for $90,000 a long time ago. Somebody's gonna pay me $1 million for that house tomorrow, I'm one happy guy.
And you go straight over here.
That being said, I'd like to stay here
Wow.
and still live in a $1 million property, but I wanna keep that happy balance, that balance of neighborhood that we presently have. I wanna have Ceci Dominguez as my neighbor. I wanna have Tracy Stone as my neighbor, because it is a beautiful makeup that we have. If we lose that entirely, if the balance shifts entirely, then we've lost Elysian Valley and the appeal that it has for me.
So what about 3 stories? Is one way to actually get affordable housing to be built is that you need to do what Matt was saying, create more flexibility, because it takes so much work to get tax credits. And in order to do that, you need to have big enough projects so that it's worth the effort to get tax credits and to make sure there's no risk.
50 units is about the lower limit of a typical affordable housing project. And so at 2 stories, you need about a 25,000 square foot parcel to build that. At 3 stories,
In that scenario, you're talking about 100%.
at 100% affordable.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's important.
Exactly. And actually, yes, sir.
I just want to clarify something. If we agree that we should not make any changes to the queue conditions, are we also agreeing then that the people that have just bought these big pieces of property pretty much can do what they want without our voice affecting anything?
Well, it depends. If they want to ask for something different than is in the current zoning,
Well, they don't have to come to us.
well, if they're asking for something different from the current zoning, they do. Because there's a public hearing process and the city council has to vote on it.
But within the by right.
If it's by right, they do not have to go to you unless they're doing a condominium or a small lot subdivision. Even if they're doing
So
those.
to do nothing, I want to make sure that we're not confused with vote no here means you're going to get no change. Vote no here means you're gonna get all sorts of change, and you may not have a voice in how that change manifests.
I would suggest, and actually I'd be curious for people who know this better than I do to opine on this, I would think that vote no change means just a lot more one-off change. That would be my expectation. Do you guys agree with
But you
that?
just said one-off, every one of these projects then ends up being a one-off project, and they all have their own rules.
No change means a lot of projects similar to what we're seeing at the Nimmo site, which is a large, small lot subdivision that complies with the zoning. It's a little tricky, the commercial part, but you're gonna see that type of project.
Can you summarize what the project is? Because I think some people don't know what it is.
So this is a large development site that used to be a bakery. It's about 100 townhomes with some commercial, so they would reuse some of the existing commercial buildings for some kind of cafe. That's what's proposed right now. And that complies with the zoning and the queue today. It's about 3 stories, the units are about 3 stories, everyone's got a little garage underneath and a couple floors above. So that's the only thing that they have to ask for is the subdivision to do these small lots.
That doesn't sound
Far
bad to me.
below our
It's
current
only 3 stories and it's an empty building right now anyway. That doesn't sound bad if the zoning stays the same. See, what's wrong with that?
Well, because they
They're actually
One
far
percent.
below our FAR.
Go ahead, please.
So I think the problem is over here, if we vote here no, we vote here no, the problem is we should stop completely, think back, take a deep breath, think about it, what have I not learned, what do I not know, what should I be thinking about, you know, and then start talking to the community as a whole, and get voices of the community, and then we can make the decision on what the community wants, because at the end, we're the owners of the land.
So I want to get Stephen.
Why not?
So I just wanted to comment that the Bimbo project, actually, I forget what the final number is, but it's substantially below the potential FAR of our current, the density, FAR, everything. That the number of units that they came with initially and the density of it, through dialogue with the neighborhood council saying, hey, this is too much, was brought down substantially, much closer to the recommendations that we've made about the queue. So in that instance, you have a giant property, the biggest one in the Elysian Valley, and the developer has voluntarily opted to go down, and that means they are making money. And so I just want to point that out. I think there is a magic number here to some degree. It's not that we create it, but that could maintain the culture of our area and its unique qualities. And I do think that that's somewhat lower than the current FAR. That the current FAR is still too much pressure.
So, I mean, just to answer the question, what happens to Bimbo and how it affects everything else? I mean, that's the typical project, we all know that. And
So
that's the tipping point project, right? So, if every unit built in Bimbo is around $800,000, okay, which is about market rate right now, okay, that has a profound impact on the, you know, on the community. And
Either if they sell or if they don't, it has a fact.
yeah, I mean, but if you're looking at you're looking at subdividing, but and I appreciate that, you know, I mean, I think that the message coming off of what Steve just said is, you know, developers, it is true by right and things like, you know, that all exists, but most developers on that large a scale want to have some dialogue with the community. And the other thing is that you know, I still believe that at that particular site there'll be a lot of things that will make that so it doesn't happen overnight. I think there's a lot of things. But again, I would just say that given that is the prized site in this entire region right now, I mean, there really isn't another site like that. There could be a lot of pressure around that, whatever the particular proposed development is, whatever the proposed use is. That is, there are very few sites of that size in that type of location anywhere in Northeast Los Angeles.
So Steve, what would you propose for it, as an example?
Well, I've been very clear on what I would propose for it. I would propose a particular type of affordable complex. I think senior housing is something that is nowhere near, we have nowhere near the capacity for in this general area. I think we can do affordability within certain conditions that do not, change, as David was saying, change the delicate balance that we've been able to really hold on to by thread here in the community. And I think it can be done. But it would take a lot of pressure, organizing, it would take a lot of